AI, artificial intelligence, an artificial brain which could simulate intelligence processes of the human brain. Now, 100 years ago, this seemed like pure science fiction, right? But now, in 2023, after a century of groundbreaking work, it seems to have become more of a reality than ever before. And now, with even more significant breakthroughs in the last few years, it feels as though we're likely on the cusp of a radical transformation as it relates to AI becoming a major part and a major influence in all of our lives, right? But directly and indirectly. Now, a big trend in this year in particular, we already heard about AI and the role that it has in football now and the role that it will have in the future as well, but it also is a very big trend in particular as it relates to digital transformation. So now in our next chat, we'll be hearing from experts from the fields who will be talking to us about transforming digitally, the next steps that need to be taken in order to stay ahead in 2023. So, for those of you who are here with us in the audience, let's go ahead and give a big round of applause to our next panelists. And first up is going to be our moderator, Mounir Zok, CEO of N3xt Sports. Well, we have an influx of people going in the tunnel, so we'll see if he can make his way out. There he is. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome back to the, there you go. Yeah, you want to sit here? Please, take a seat. Joining him will be Dr. Amine Aezki, CEO and founder of MarkaMotion.
We're getting mic'd up right now. So
okay.
It might be a bit late. Yeah.
Cool. Hello, welcome. It will in a moment. They'll put your volume up, don't worry. Next joining them will be Fred Antunes, CEO of RealFevr. Let's give a nice warm welcome. He's still getting mic'd up, so we'll have to be a little bit patient here. Bear with us. Here he comes. Now we can give him a proper applause. Feel free to sit next to him. Zeynep Acar is our next panelist, OTT General Manager S Sport Plus of Saran Group. There she is. Hello, welcome. And last but not least, Luis Vicente, Chairman of Apex Capital. On his way very shortly. It gives you more time to loosen up and get ready to ask the questions, right? Brilliant stuff. Well, everyone enjoying themselves still? We only have 2 more panels left, this one and 1 more after this. So, still have plenty more to look ahead to and to look forward to. There he is, making a fashionably late entrance. Luis Vicente. Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, whenever you want, all yours.
Thank you, thank you. Good morning. Can I
No.
No.
I think mine is working. I can start if you want.
We may have to give you a hand mic.
No, I don't think so as well.
I don't think, yeah.
Yours is working.
Yeah.
I think mine is
Yours is
working.
working.
Yeah.
So I am the moderator now.
You can start.
We're going to give you a hand mic.
maybe unplug anything here?
I don't know.
Maybe batteries.
Oh, hold on, maybe it's on mute.
Yes.
Testing 1, 2. Yeah. Check there's a mute button
Yeah,
here.
no, sure. Don't know where they put it.
They hit it very well.
I'll leave it here. They put it. Oh, they put it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2. No, not working.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. You know, we're talking about the necessary steps to stay ahead in 2023. Maybe one of them would be to figure this thing out. Let's wait for your microphone, Luis, yeah, and then we can get going.
But you can start, so start.
Oh, now it's working.
Now it's working, yeah.
It's working?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah? Okay.
Super. Günaydın. Good morning again. Sorry about the technical difficulties. It's a pleasure to be here with you today in Istanbul. We have an amazing set of experts over here. I just look at these guys and I shiver. I say, like, what could I ask them? And as I was telling them in the back, I'm not going to ask you anything. I'm just going to give you an excuse to speak. And then I will try to hold them from speaking because they can go on for forever, each and every one of them. Listen, the topic is transforming digitally. We have heard in the morning about data, about digital, about personalization, about the importance of staying on top of new trends and unobserved macro trends that are impacting our industry at large. I think this is one of the perfect panels to shed light from so many different points of view on what is happening currently, what are some of the modern trends. And Luis, I want to start with you. Yeah, you have such a broad experience across the sports industry. You have worked at all different types of organizations addressing so many different topics, always with one specific point in mind, which is how do I generate new value? How do I keep the value growing? How do I keep growing the pie for all of the whole industry, right? From your point of view and from the different projects that you are working on right now, what are some of the trends that you are observing around you?
It's not
It's
working.
not working.
Try again?
It's working?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to be in Istanbul, one of the cities I most like. I think, the most interesting that you see in sports, and again, this is a football event, so maybe we should speak more about football because it's also a similar trend. It's basically, I would say, the biggest community in the world. Is maybe still a very obsolete industry, probably one of the most obsolete industries in the world, because the truth is sports has been failing on understanding their community, right? And understanding really, qualify and quantify the community of football and the community of sports, I think is still one of the largest challenges, maybe the biggest challenge that we still have in the industry. So effectively, there is a trend that is trying to focus on that and force that transformation. Of course, we all know that sports is also an industry that doesn't like too much innovation, right? So again, I've been innovating for like 20 years, and I know how much years I got older. So with that, because it's an industry definitely that nobody wants to lose their position, right? And especially the ones that are more dominant. And basically, when you prove that something can be done, everyone takes that opportunity. So I think there is still a lot to do on that. I think some of the interesting trends I've been seeing is effectively the advent of new sports inside the industry. And when I call new sports, for me, women's football is a new sport and is definitely a different sport from men's football, right? And I think it's also time that the industry needs to understand that we're talking about two different audiences, two different purposes, and effectively two different programs, right? So, and we need to unleash it once and for all. I think as well the amateur, landscape and the mass participation, right? So everybody talks about cycling or running as the largest mass participation activities in the world, but effectively football is the biggest one. But we seem to have difficulties on calling it, the largest, amateur community in the world. But recent, situations like we've been seeing with Wrexham, and I'm still very thankful to Ryan Reynolds because he finally proved something that I've been saying for so many years, that effectively today you can pick up a smaller brand, you can pick up basically a local brand and transform it in something much bigger, right? What Gerard Piqué has been doing as well with Kings League, with Queens League and Princes League proves that as well there is a product that can be done differently, that can be promoted differently and can attract a massive community around the world. And I'll say that the last one I would like to mention is effective as well, the digital landscape, right? And we've been flirting with digital for many years. So I'm still of the generation that effectively saw, sports and especially football governing bodies, football clubs giving for free, the access to the big, marketplaces and digital platforms. I think that's why I'm such a big fan of Web3 and especially blockchain. Even if for some people it looks like that Web3 in sports is dead, I totally, disagree with that.
Absolutely.
And I think there is, we need to understand the longevity of the journey, and this is not something that you can do in a year. It's something that probably going to take you a full decade to materialize and to mature. But I think definitely, how can we once and for all put digital and the digital experience at the center, and allows as well that experience to help us understanding what the community wants, and bring football as a virtual tool everywhere we go, because every club has the same problem, right? We understand our local audience very well, the ones that come to the stadium, the one that comes to games, but we struggle to understand effectively our fan of my club in China, United States, or Brazil, what he wants and what he wants from me, right? And I think there is, something that we need to change, because we definitely live now in an ecosystem where fans have a voice, wherever we like it or not, athletes have a voice, and this is only the beginning, because it's going to get stronger.
Absolutely, and I do fully agree with you that Web3 is not a trend. Now, Web3 is a foundational technology that is here to stay, and it's, as one starts stabilizing, it will create new business models and even new ways of thinking. You touched on some specific points at Zeynep, and I would like to address with you. You mentioned like new sports, right? Such as the Kings League, the Queens League, and the Princess League, and we observed how popular these sports quickly became thanks to many aspects, but one of them was looking at one of the most popular online streaming technologies like Twitch to actually stream the games there and then engage all of the community. Zeynep, you have been working in the media industry for a long time, and right now you are working at the first Turkish sports OTT platform. From your perspective, how are you seeing the media and broadcasting scene changing?
I mean, I've been in the sports industry and basically broadcasting for the last 23 years. So I worked at Turkey's biggest free-to-air channel, news channel at NTV, thematic channel for a while. Then I worked for Digiturk, which is the biggest pay TV platform. And I worked at Riot Games, which is the esports. And now I am with the Saran Media Group, which I'm responsible for the streaming service. And the reason that I told my journey is actually the journey of transition of media. Because, for example, in terms of sports broadcasting, because when I was working at the news channel, we had the opportunity to broadcast Premier League and Formula One at the time. And all we can agree that it's not possible due to the media rights environment that shifted in the last 20 years. And when we went to the pay TV platform, it was something else. You have the boxes, you have the, you subscribe and you stay a subscriber annually, and it's not easy to get out. So that was another era. And now we have the OTT era, and I think it's the greatest era for the sports fans, because you can just subscribe daily, monthly, annually, and you can watch any game you like, and you don't have to have a box, that stuff. So, and thanks to pandemics, I mean, not thanks to pandemics, but one of the good effects of the pandemics is that the transformation in digital sports broadcasting has also shifted, because people didn't want to have technicians coming to their houses and, putting boxes and that cable stuff. And so I might just add that even for the not the biggest sports, but for example, last week we broadcasted foot golf. So we broadcast women's football. We broadcast many motorsports that are, but it's also, we do broadcast La Liga, Serie A, Formula One, NBA, Turkish Airlines, EuroLeague, all the major ones, but OTT and the digital streaming era has the opportunity to broadcast even more, and it doesn't have the limitation of the linear TV channels, because when there are two games overlapping in Premier League, if there's a third game, everybody will want to watch it. And if it's for women's football, we know that many broadcasters will not pick the women's football, but we can, because we can broadcast 8 live games simultaneously on our platform, and we can provide the service for our subscribers to watch them 4 games at the same time in one screen. So that's an opportunity that people want to see, the option more option and choose whatever they want, not the ones that we choose as the broadcasters. So we give them the option to choose, and I think OTT will not go away for a very long time because of this, freedom that it gives to its users.
Amazing. And earlier this morning, we heard about the importance of catering to all the generations, right? And not to focus the conversation only on the upcoming generations, but take care also of current generations, like people like us, who are not Gen Zs, let alone alphas and betas and whatever will come after that. And maybe this is where streaming platforms and linear platforms and other new platforms that we will see in the future will provide quite a complete.
Yeah, I mean, the future will bring a lot of different stuff. I mean, it has also, we even started to feel the effects of AI already. I don't know, maybe in the upcoming years, we will see the AI-supported commentary in live games, which will provide the presenters and commentators to have more insights about the game. It's not about only seeing, telling what you see, but also supported by endless data, and you can reach that data immediately. So it will change a lot in terms of commentary, in terms of how we market these rights. Everything will change. It has already started. I asked ChatGPT 2 days ago what they think of this transformation into sports storytelling, and ChatGPT told me that in the end, in terms of sports storytelling, human emotion and human expertise will be very crucial in storytelling, but it will be 100% supported by AI. So that's what, what it says. We'll see.
ChatGPT almost always gets it right, but besides asking ChatGPT, I want to ask this gentleman here, Amine, because he's working on one of the innovative solutions that will come to market soon, which we have seen a little bit here and there on perimeter advertising, but we have never seen it in the way that you are thinking about it and working on it. I mean, do you want to share with us a little bit what you're doing?
So we are a very humble startup getting into the market step by step, but we want to, I want to point to the comments of Luis that football is not really the most innovative, basically, sports in terms of tech and so on. But this is going to probably change especially when you touch to different financial interests of different parties. And this is exactly what we are trying to touch in this evolution of how we want to advertise in general the brands on broadcasting, on media. Maybe you would probably ask yourself since when this is existing, having a brand on the jersey. I think we're talking about the 80s or 70s. So, and this did not change since that time, which is crazy to think about it. But thanks to the technologies of today and also the innovative business model that we are trying to help actually even smaller brands to get access to have their visibility on the jerseys during the game live in real time. So this will help actually to not only have visibility as we see it today, but also to target the right audience. So it means your brand is going to be shown in the specific country, specific broadcasting channel according to your interest in the market. So you target better your customers and you avoid that waste of money which you are paying to the clubs and having only benefits on only one areas of the things. Maybe there's a slide which we can show in parallel how it looks like in the video. Maybe we can show the slides that the people can understand. So the goal here is basically to make sure that we are advertising a logo, a brand, on the jersey of the player. So for example, this one, you can see a MarkaMotion, dynamic logo, you can change anytime you want. So it means you can have that logo present when there's a player scoring or there's penalty shots or even some specific moments. And there will be different prices for that. Or even an animation because it's more catchy for the people when they are watching a video or a movie. The animation is very important because it's like PowerPoints. When there's an animation, you pay attention what is happening there. And then you try to understand what brand we're talking about. And the third one, it's more creating, maybe you need to click once. It's more to create a 3D experience, an experience where you can even show your product. It's not only the logo. You show your product, you can show a watch, you can show a smartphone rotating, you can show even a dragon going out of your belly. So I think art directors can be very, very creative on that case. And all this is basically generated with AI for detection of the body, but also mapping the right logos on the right position of the jerseys. So here, the benefits at the end is not just about tech, of course. Here the benefit is that you open the door to smaller brands to participate. So multiple sponsors on one jersey. So this is very interesting for broadcasters, but also for the clubs to generate more revenues. And also for the fans, because it's more attractive when you see a dragon going out of the belly of Ronaldo when he's scoring. It's a new type of celebration, you know.
That's one expensive dragon.
That's an expensive one. This will have a special tag, a price for that.
I mean, and I want to shift the conversation to Fred, please, because here we're talking about digital assets. And Fred, you're working on generating digital assets for the whole sports industry at large, you know. Help us understand, what is the current state of digital assets and where do you see it going from here?
So, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. It's my 11th time today here in Istanbul.
Wow.
I love the city. Yeah, 11th time. I love the city. I love vacations in Bodrum.
Wow.
It's a marvelous country. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So regarding to your question, I think the last 5 years, Web3 exploded in sports, and we did some huge mistakes. I would say the biggest lesson learned was the amount of money that we put in the industry without a specific return on investment, and we just gave that money for free, basically, to clubs and institutions, you know, as a promotional and advertising stuff, with a really, really small return on investment. So with that lesson learned, and with the millions that we just dumped into the football industry, in sports in general, but specifically in football, I think for the next couple of years, we will want to get that money back, you know, and of course with a huge interest rate applied on it. And if you would have more people from Web3 in this roundtable, probably we will not all agree on how to do this.
Absolutely.
There are different paths, but as the CEO of RealFevr, for me, the biggest advantage that Web3 can bring to the sports ecosystems is to think about planet Earth as one, and not to think about country by country. So I hate this perspective about thinking about what we do in Turkey, what we do in France, what we do in Germany, what we do in Norway, what we do in Japan, what we do in Brazil. So I think one of the biggest key success of RealFevr was we created the company always thinking on planet Earth as one. So we don't separate, we don't split the countries one by one. So I think in the next couple of years, there will be no more outflow of millions from Web3 crypto industry to sports. That is over. And the way we will capitalize that investment in the last 5 years will be with a huge community of sports funds that today are already engaged and on board into Web3 ecosystem.
Fred, so this is an amazing point that I'd like to pick up with you, Luis, because the title there, or the subtitle of our session, are the necessary steps to stay ahead. Now, Fred poses a very bright future that requires, within the sports organization, acumen to understand what he's talking about, right? You have worked in all different types of sports organizations. You have dealt with all different types of leadership, and you have dealt with all different cultures. From a sports organization perspective, when we're thinking about a football club, a football league, or a football federation, just to keep the conversation on football, what are the new skill sets? What should people learn so that when Fred comes to visit them at the office or online, they actually can have a constructive conversation? What should happen so that we can stay ahead?
How many minutes do we have? It was a long question, that one. Or a long answer. Well, no, it's fine, it's fine. Thank you. So the first thing I want to say again, we struggle a lot in football to work together, right? And I must say, I'm here in this beautiful country. Maybe the Turkish league is unfortunately a good example of that. But it's not the only one, because every league, unfortunately, follows the same pattern. And there is a reason I'm convinced this happens. Because we are talking about emotions, and football, I call it sometimes the largest religion in the world because of the emotion that that community carries, and the blindness that the community, has sometimes. And I think the intensity of the challenge on the pitch is so big that then people don't trust each other, to work off the pitch. My experience and my life took me to many different places, and for instance, one of the things and the good examples I can give you of exactly the opposite example is the Spanish league. So when I joined Valencia in 2013, like always happens in many leagues, you had Real Madrid on the left, Barcelona on the right, and 18 clubs that were not talking to each other. And I just was coming from Manchester City, where exactly on Premier League we deployed the same strategy, using innovation, using a different way of looking at the same product, right? And be brave enough to bring that idea forward, and not thinking about the pitch, thinking exactly how can I win off the pitch, right? Because in City, when I started in 2008, we were not sure we were going to win. We think we will win over time, but effectively we understand we could win off the pitch, right? Because we were the first team to have a digital team. We were the first team to have an esports, strategy. We were the first team to have an activation area that was effectively doing the 4 or 5 hours before the game. So we were the first team to have a strategy team, right? And this is a lot of first things, but actually football should have that already by decades, right? And it hasn't. Now, when I come to Valencia, different challenge. So you had actually to try to beat Real Madrid and Barcelona, and maybe we could not do it on the pitch, we had to do it off the pitch. And effectively what we did, first project, was picking up our stadium, bringing it, with a very small budget, make it the most innovative stadium in the league, which effectively was the oldest stadium in the league, right? Now is 103, 104 years old. Effectively, we managed to do it, right? And effectively all the strategy that you saw now being deployed in Spain over the last years of effectively forcing the clubs to modernize the stadiums came from what we did in Valencia in 2013, right? Where we created, a new paradigm, right? And then we used that to actually start talking to the other clubs. And in football, you always want to keep the advantage for you, right? That's what every coach will tell you. Wrong. Effectively, we use our knowledge to create relationships with other clubs, right? So we started to work with Atletico Madrid. We started to work with Sevilla, with Betis, with Atletico Bilbao, Real Sociedad, even with Villarreal, because people from Villarreal or Valencia say that it will be impossible for the two clubs to work together, but that was not true. So, and I'm still convinced, and again, I have no hardcore data that proves what I'm going to say, that the centralization in Spain, effectively the centralization of media rights, happened because of what we started to do with Valencia. Because for a year, you gain trust between ourselves. And that mid-tier set of clubs, from Atletico Madrid to Real Sociedad, effectively was determinant to force the centralization. So maybe that's also what you need to deploy as well in Turkey. But, and then another point which I think is fundamental. Football, everything goes very slow, right? So let me give you as well a few examples, right? So today we were talking here about, behind the scenes, the storytelling, telling the narrative, improve the storytelling, the personalization of a club. We talk about the entertainment, right? So City was the first club to actually do the entertainment back in 2009. So it took 14 years to actually this becomes more or less mature in the industry, because it's still, I would say, not fully mature, right? So we talk about stadiums and how important it is to effectively building, different experiences, bringing your stadium forward as an entertainment venue. Again, as I said, we did it in 2013, so it took 10 years, to actually everyone start doing the same. So what I'm saying with this is, for the ones that have still not innovated, at all, right? For the ones that still doesn't believe in Web3 or doesn't believe in personalization, doesn't believe in effective creating a bi-directional relationship with your fans, you are still not too late, because you have time, because the industry allows you to have time. Now,
Absolutely.
the world, I'm not so sure will give you enough time,
Yeah.
and maybe the industry needs to accelerate its path.
Love it. Thanks, Luis. Then, Zeynep, from your perspective, you're working at a company that is also able to measure the engagement, of each and every person with the different types of content that you have.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we're seeing more and more experimentation in football with vertical content, which seems to be, like a new attractive asset that people would like to consume. Are you seeing that also across your platforms?
Yes. First of all, to be very honest, in the OTT, we see that subscribers are shifting from football to motorsports, to basketball, and even in Turkey, because Turkey is a football country. I mean, everyone supports one club. It's something that comes from your family, so it's a part of your identity. So because of the target audience that we have, like the young generation from 16 to 25, we see that our subs, I'm not talking about our linear channels in paid TVs, because they target different audience. But for us, I think football industry should really, really understand the importance of technology and storytelling and personalization, because that's what Formula One does. And people are watching it more and more, and even maybe they are not like, I might say some of them are not watching it because they are like a motorsports fan, but because of they are part of a popular culture supported by Netflix TV series and everything. But for example, I can give example for Turkish Super League, not to offend anyone from any other leagues, but even if we make a contract with one of the top 3 clubs, I would never be 100% sure that they would take us to the team bus if things not go very well. Football is so close, and if it goes like this, it will lose a young audience, because it's 90 minutes, and now with the World Cup, it's getting maybe after the World Cup because of the length added. And many young people are not happy with the idea to watch something and that there's no goal for 120 minutes. So even with Turkish market, we see that basketball, motorsports, and other sports are in power. So what we are trying to do for our football fans, which is also one of the core areas, of course, because it's football, we try to give them more flexibility in terms of data, visualization, in terms of letting them know about the stories behind the games. And I think the biggest strength that we have is still, maybe it's not digital, but the good moderation. People love the commentators and presenters, and they watch only for them as well. So it's also important. So, but briefly, I can say that football has to renew itself as fast as it can, because if you are, I mean, I see many watch parties in Twitch watched more than the game itself.
Yep.
So I think this is something important for everyone to consider.
A common phrase maybe that circulates around lots of football organizations is that football needs to, on one hand, accept and understand that it is part of the entertainment industry.
Yep.
And there are many elements beyond the pitch. There's many stories that can be told beyond the 90 or 120 minutes on the pitch. And I'd like to ask you something, Amine. You know, Apple recently announced Vision Pro, which is this new virtual reality headset. You know, virtual reality has been going through ups and downs over the past 25 years, I would say. Maybe now with Apple stepping into the space, maybe there will be a little bit more adoption happening. You're working on a technology that allows the hyper-personalization of content, in your case on the real estate of the jersey, to be generated for each and every individual. Do you think hyper-personalization will be one of the main trends to watch out for in the coming years?
Yeah, I think the technology evolved definitely today. So I think with the advance of AI, but also the augmented reality, the hardware part, but also the software part, will help to go to more personalized content and targeting. So previously I was talking about targeting the audience in the sense of a region. For example, I would broadcast a video or a game with a logo which are interested for that region in Turkey or in Germany with different logos. But in the future, with the streaming platforms, but also with the capabilities of all the cloud capabilities today, you can target really the viewer itself as a person. And this will be something which will come in the next years. Mm-hmm. So knowing the persona of the person, knowing the interest, it's a little bit what Amazon is proposing, basically. But at this time, you will see what you want to see in the future, and then targeting the people according to their own interest, and not something which is just wasted. This will be a huge benefit for brands because they will be much more efficient. We're not talking about just spreading a logo anywhere and then hoping that somebody is going to see it, but you're going to target the right person to see the logo or even the product of the company. Amazing. So this is becoming reality. It's just a question of time.
Super. And then maybe to wrap this up, Fred, we'll give you the closing question. Now, we heard lots of new keywords that were shared in the past 20 to 25 minutes. Maybe one of the main ones is Web3. You know, still, it's not that clear, you know, what Web3 is, what Web3 means. I believe many of the people here in the audience, maybe they have heard of Web3, but don't really understand what it is. You are deep in your work in that domain. What opportunities do you believe Web3 could unlock for football clubs or leagues or federations?
Web3 is very, very hard to explain. If you listen to Gary Gensler, the president of SEC in the United States of America, you will be scared with his words. I give you a better perspective about Web3, definitely. I think there are three great advantages and value that Web3 brings to the world, and especially to sports. The first one is definitely scalability, because the way that you reach new countries, the way that you reach new audiences, the way that you internationalize your product, Web3 is straightforward, peer-to-peer, you know, direct to consumer, without intermediates in the middle who sometimes, you know, struggle a bit the way that you want to develop your business. That's number one. Number two, also super important, is a type of ownership and fandom that you give to the user. So we are not designing a product where the user is just a consumer who spends money and gets nothing in return. Mm-hmm. What we are activating is a circular economy where the user consumes the product, but he also builds a business around the product that he's buying, you know? So it's much more a bilateral relation instead of a single-side relation. But the third one, and probably the most important one, is the global network that was built through Web3, you know, in terms of, once again, planet Earth. So today, I'm Fred here, the physical person, but I have a nickname on Telegram, on Discord, and on Twitch. And that virtual reality guy is completely different from what I am right now on this stage. So once again, this detachment between our physical life and our virtual digital life is dramatically important to everyone in this room to understand. Because the future of the products that you will build will not be only for physical persons will be to avatars who are represented online, and they have specific demands as consumers when they buy something online and then when they spend their money online. So that network that Web3 activated today, you know, as a consequence of a very well Web2 deployment, I think for the next 10 years, my digital representation will have much more purchase power to spend in football and sports products rather than Fred as a physical person.
My goodness, it's lots of opportunities are presented here with that. And if you have not heard or read about Web3, it's quite important to learn about what opportunities are available. I wish we had more time, but Amine, Fred, Zeynep, and Luis, I have to thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.